Ladies and gentlemen, Patrik Laine is back. After getting traded to Montreal in the offseason and getting injured in one of his first preseason games, we saw Patrik Laine come off the IR and finally last night in the Bell Center make his Habs debut. Not only did he look great, but he's also already changing Montreal's top six for the better. But just how good did Patrik Laine look in his first game back? How does it change the Montreal lineup going forward? And how could the rest of his season look? How many goals could he score? Well, make sure you watch till the end because we're going to be going through all of Laine talk, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content just like this all throughout the year. Now, we covered on the channel the brutal hit to Laine in the preseason that kept him out of the lineup, a horrible one and a freak accident, and it looked like it would keep him out for at least the rest of 2024. It seemed like January or even February would be when he would come back. But about a month ago, we started to hear a lot more about Laine's improving condition, him getting back into practices, and eventually being taken off the IR months before we thought. And boy, did Montreal need it. Besides some of the top-end scorers, the Habs had little depth to work with and really needed a boost to their forward group. And immediately in his first game back, we would see the Habs put him in the top six on that second line left wing, centered by Kirby, Dach, and on the right, Juraj, Slafkovsky. A pretty new line that had a lot of potential, but we didn't quite know how they would fit. Especially when you consider that the last time that Patrik Laine played a full NHL regular season game was almost a year ago on December 14th with Columbus last year. There was going to be some growing pains, or at least that was the expectation. But Laine was brilliant, and that second line in general looked like they had a lot more confidence than they had before. Both players in Kirby, Dach, and Slafkovsky had a lot of confidence issues throughout the last month or so, and two guys that really needed to find some footing within that Montreal lineup. It seems like with Laine, though, all three of these big boys are playing the best that they've played so far this year. Of course, Laine looked confident and offensively, had some great moments, but the best one, of course, came on the power play from a great feed from Lane Hudson. A little bit of hesitation there on the shot, but he gets it done, and the Bell Center went absolutely nuts. After the game, we saw Patrik Laine having a hilarious quote saying, "That was the most outrageous thing I've ever heard in my entire life." His reaction to that Montreal crowd after his goal, and it was an incredible one, a fantastic shot, and of course, with what Patrik Laine is capable of on the power play with that shot, that's what Laine is able to do at his best. You look at that Montreal forward group, and really the only player that can score at will is Caufield, but you add a Laine who at his best is able to do that and in bunches, and that adds a different element to this Montreal forward group. It gives them some other weapon that they can really count on for offense, and in Laine's case, he's already showing that. I would have had no problems if Laine started off slow. He had almost a year between his last NHL regular season game, but already we're seeing Laine do what he does best. Now let's talk about that second line, because I think that is very important for Montreal going forward. It seems like this season is already a lost one. They're not going to be making the playoffs, but I think that is okay. As long as you see good growth in those younger players, I think it is a success. But you look at what that second line is in Laine, Dach, and Slafkovsky, and all three of these players could really use some confidence in Laine's case because of his injury, in players like Dach because of his injury last season and the slow start, and in players like Slafkovsky's case, who yes did get a goal this last week, but have really struggled in the goal scoring department throughout this year. These are all three big forwards that really need some confidence going forward, but what Laine was able to prove is that he can already gel with some of these younger pieces, and especially in Kirby Dach's case, somebody that has really struggled this year coming off of an injury. Laine is in kind of the same boat, and if they can get the most out of each other, that's something they can bond over. And you look at that top six, and especially if that second line were to stick, you look at next year and what that could potentially bring when Ivan Demidov is fully come over, and he would easily, I think, be able to slot into that second line right wing, and you could bump Newhook down to that third line, which would create a Caufield, Suzuki, Demidov, Laine, Dach, Slafkovsky top six. And if Dach and Slafkovsky are improving, that looks pretty scary. Now, over the next 10 games, it would be awesome to see Patrik Laine continuing this run, but I think it is completely possible and understandable if Laine were to go cold a little bit over the next few games, not score a goal, and because he's mostly getting back into the conditioning of a full regular NHL schedule. I mean, you could ask Kirby Dach specifically, who missed all of last year, just how hard it has been acclimating back to that full-time schedule, and in Laine's case, he's something that I expect to see those growing pains out of. But honestly, considering what he's already shown, I think just being solid, being able to get those power play opportunities will grow that confidence. And at least if that confidence is there, I think he'll be just fine going forward. Really, for all of these three players in this line, they could all use that confidence boost, and even though they're kind of all in this inconsistent rut, I think they could get the best out of each other, especially when you consider the play styles there. In Dach's case, with how much he can be a play driver, in Laine's case, how much of a goal scorer he can be with Slafkovsky, how much of a playmaker he can provide when he is at his best, and hopefully using his physicality more and more. There's potential there of this line going forward as not just a line for this year, but maybe for the entire future. My main worry, though, is that inconsistency, at least long term for Laine. It seems like we've always seen these good moments out of him, these good stretches, whether that be in Winnipeg or Columbus, but finding that day-to-day consistency where he is an impact forward every single game is really going to be the big test, I think, for Laine going forward. Is that elite guy that you can always depend upon to be a top six forward, or is he going to fall into those ruts like he did in seasons past? That will, to me, be the big question here, but I think with how much he'll be improving Montreal's power play, with how much of that goal-scoring element is missed, I think no matter what, even if he is still in that inconsistent Laine mold, he's still going to be a valuable guy for Montreal if healthy. And still, considering the trade that Montreal got him in, even if he is the Laine of the past, that's still a really good power play goal scorer that can provide a lot for you offensively, and they got a second-round pick for him in exchange for Jordan Harris, who, in Harris's case, is not exactly been an impact defenseman for Columbus so far, and likely wasn't going to be for Montreal either long-term. So, no matter what, even if Laine continues his trajectory, I'm fine with it, but I think there is real potential for him to be the best version of himself in Montreal, and that's what's most exciting. And one of these stories of Laine coming back that I really want to highlight is just the mental health side of things, because for Laine, he's been out for a full year. That is tough for any athlete to go through, but he had so much hype coming into training camp and so much potential with the preseason, and then gets injured and then gets postponed for another couple of months, and it's been a brutal stretch for him in a lot of key areas. But he's had a great mindset throughout it all. After the game, he had this amazing quote saying, "I talked with my therapist about this when I was a little nervous yesterday and decided putting this jersey on today is an achievement after everything, and everything that comes after that is a plus." And that is just a brilliant mindset for a guy who has been through pretty much everything in his time with the NHL already, with these inconsistencies, with the trades, with all the different situations there, all the hype coming into things. In Laine's case, I think that mindset and having everything around him is just so important, and especially with how good that Montreal group is, I think how close they are, that will be something that I think Laine is going to really benefit from. Honestly, if there's anybody I'm rooting for in the NHL right now, it is him. With how much he's struggled, how much he's been open with his mental health struggles, he's somebody that desperately, I think, deserves to be in a spot where he's consistent, where he's thriving, where he's getting the opportunities he deserves, and I think Montreal's the exact type of team to give it to him. My only hope, because this has been a constant issue of Montreal over the past few years, has been the injuries. I hope desperately that he's able to stay healthy throughout the rest of the season, have a strong second half, and get back into the swing of things. I'm not expecting him to be a point per game or to score 40 goals in the second half this year, but I want him to build on himself, get back into that conditioning, and then next year have a fully healthy, ready-to-go season where he rips it up all year. Really, I think the NHL is at its best when a player like Laine is producing. He's somebody that has had so much goal-scoring success, so much potential. I mean, 36 goals in his rookie season, then 44 in the year afterwards. I want to see Laine reach those heights again. I think it would be better for the NHL if he reaches those heights again. When Montreal has better players, more exciting guys, I think it's better for the NHL as well. Montreal deserves these type of players. They really do crave these type of guys too. You can see the reaction from the crowd there in Montreal. They've been waiting for Laine to make this impact after the trade that happened. I mean, even before that, Laine's been rumored to go to Montreal for a while now, and it's great to see him already making an impact already. I would preach patience for him, at least in the next couple months, as we likely see him dip back up and down, but he's somebody that is a core part of this Montreal future, and hopefully will continue thriving in it. But I just want to make a little video talking about the Laine situation, his debut with Montreal, how exciting it was, and hopefully how exciting the future will be. If you guys did enjoy, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and hit that subscribe button for the future as well. If you guys want to see more hockey videos just like this, comment down below as well your thoughts on Laine's debut. How did you see it? Were you excited by it? What did you think of his goal? And I want to know as well in the future, how many points, how many goals do you see him scoring throughout the rest of this year? If we're counting about the games that he's played, maybe he hopefully gets around 55, 60 games or so. I could see him being around maybe the 30, 40 point range, but as long as he's consistent, as long as he's helping that power play, honestly, I'm pretty fine with it. Let me know your final predictions down in the comments down below on what you guys think for the rest of the year and what point total he finishes with. As well, of course, share the video with all the hockey fans, all the Habs fans you guys know online, and click on this card for all of my hockey trade rumor content right in one playlist for you to binge. A lot on that playlist over the last couple of weeks, by the way, so a lot to catch up on there if you haven't been paying attention yet. But I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you have a fantastic hockey day, and goodbye.